welcome to the Afterword on Check Your Shelf.
This is the Afterword. For those of you that don't know what Afterword is, it's something we do after we make a video with a guest, because nobody cares what we think, and I mean that in the best possible way. But we've discovered that we like to know about the booktubers that we talk to more than just the books they read, even though invariably, if you're a book reader, everything comes back to books. So this is kind of like our little informal chat where people can get to know our guest a little better.
Can I ask you guys a question? Because I asked this question in chat once and you left me more confused.
Oh.
I asked, how did the two of you meet?
Oh, right.
And then one of you gave me a very cool story about fishing and buying bait. And I was very gullible and fell for it because it was beautiful. And then another one of you told me that you've just met since like elementary school, which also sounded very nice. So I'm like, is there a real story to how you two met?
Reality is nice, but more boring than the bait story. The bait story, I made up on the spot. So we'll go. We rode the same bus in school. Paul's a year older than me, so he was always a grade ahead of me, and I didn't really know he existed until I was 11 and he was 12, and we were going to have to ride the same bus to junior high.
Yeah,
the next year.
Our bus driver, we were the only two people on the road, and we were a couple houses apart, and she's like, I'm not making two stops, so you guys figure out whose house you're staying at. So we alternated back and forth. But first couple of days were kind of weird because we just kind of stood there waiting for the bus, but then we started talking, and then I conned him into playing Dungeons and Dragons with me, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, we grew up in an unincorporated area of northern Indiana.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, the only two official things there were a school and a volunteer fire department, and so all the activities were at one of those two places. The town we lived near, a town of about 20,000 people, and then another one of about 15,000 people, was the big city to us. So we always said we grew up in the country, right? Even though we were an hour from Chicago. But as a result, since we weren't really into the kinds of things that the other kids around us were into, things like drugs and what else were they into?
Fighting people up, breaking into people's houses,
bullying, fixing cars. Oh, fixing cars was a big one. We weren't really into that. So we kind of were recluse. That's why we didn't know about each other until we were older. And then once we got to know each other, we had some common frames of reference, and then from there we developed the same frames of reference. And then, like many friendships, once I graduated, I went off to college in another town, and we kept in touch, but kind of off and on. And so that's how it was for a long time. We both got married, had kids, and when you do that, that takes a lot of time. I don't know if any of you out there have ever been married with kids, but man, it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, it eats up a good chunk of your day.
So right now, do you live in the same town now?
No. I live about 3 hours south of where we grew up, and Paul lives about a half an hour
in the 15,000 city.
Yeah,
that's where I live.
The big city.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In 2014, we started a podcast for the sole reason of having an excuse to talk once a week and look at each other. We can't smell each other, but we can at least look at each other.
I love that. That is a better story than the fish bait story.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay. I'll start telling that one then instead of the fish bait.
Is it real?
It is
what do you
real.
mean I'll start telling it?
It's real. It's very real.
Well, speaking of the common interests, the common grounds and the common interests that he and I got into, one of them was Hitchhiker's Guide, which we've suffered greatly at the critique of many a booktuber for our choices in literature. But Today is Douglas Adams' birthday, time of recording.
Oh, happy birthday, Doug. Died too
Out
soon.
there in the universe somewhere,
Out there in the cosmos.
hitchhiking.
I heard somewhere, maybe from you, you're a librarian
Yes.
and communications director.
Yes. As
So
of like last week.
as of last week, awesome. Well, you communicate very well, so they made a smart choice. Good for them.
Yes.
Congratulations to the University of wherever you're at. Where are you? Are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah. So it's Massey College in Toronto, and it's not part of the University of Toronto. It's like its own private college, but it's mostly residential, and it's built on one of those Oxford college models. And it was started by Robertson Davies, the like one big Canadian author who wrote a lot of saucy novels, but one of his big goals in life was to start his own college that's very much like Oxford. So they named the library after him. So I work in the Robertson Davies Library.
What's the difference between saucy, spicy, sleazy, and smutty? Because I hear those words used a lot.
I actually got in an argument with Nick about that.
Why am I not surprised?
No, so I recently started collecting sleazy posters of librarian pulpy sleaze, like, you know, like in the stacks, and I have like a weird framed picture of like a nympho librarian is the title, and when I held it up in my video, I said this is librarian smut, and Nick immediately said no, it's sleaze. Actually, sleaze is kind of like alluding to inappropriate or like being around it, but then smut is like full-on pornography, or like he kind of, again, I don't want to quote Nick incorrectly, but he made a point that's different.
Wouldn't it be speculative though? Speculative smut.
So sleaze is smut adjacent, but not on the nose, and
maybe
smut involves the nose. Could involve the nose. All right.
Yeah. And then more the saucy, I think, is how people say when something is kind of literary and mainstream and then just a little bit like inappropriate. Because I feel like in his novels, there are a lot of professors having relationships with their students. So it's like, you know, like saucy.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a
I'll
librarian?
find stuff in the wild. I'll find books in the wild and send them pictures like, you know, I found this. Oh, that's porn. Oh, okay. What's this? What's the sleaze? What's
Yeah. I know. I love Nick and his definitions. Like, he's so like, no, this is the way it must be.
The gatekeeper, keeper of the gate. So you've been a librarian for a while?
Yeah. I've been a librarian since 2017. Okay. And I ended up working, so I'm a rare book librarian. And it's mostly working with manuscripts, like medieval manuscripts, but also early printed works, like the incunable era, so 1450 to 1501 of printing on a printing press, like, and then we have a lot of printing presses in the library, so they're really cool because we have like workshops with students where we teach them how to use the printing press and ink it, and we're like, see how long it took to print a book back in the day. Like, it's really fun.
That's cool, man. No wonder I feel imposter syndrome. Like, like when you're talking about like we're like, I'll be like, hey, look, I found this. Look, I found a vintage book. Look, it has the whatever that's called, the purple thing here. So this must be really old. You're like, that's not old. 1450 to 1501 is old.
Well, those are the first printed books. And then if you're looking at manuscripts and handwritten ones, then you can go all the way back. And then we also have a cuneiform tablet from ancient Mesopotamia. And that one's 4,000 years old.
Nice. Is it in one of those like hermetically sealed, like humidity control things? It's just sitting out on your
I probably shouldn't confess this on the internet, but I once accidentally put it in my pocket.
Oh.
I was like holding it, and it's as small as like a chocolate chip brownie, you know?
Oh,
and it's just a little tablet. And I was going places, and I just like lost track of what was happening. And then I was like, oh my God. Like I almost like, There are a lot of like funny stories from libraries where people accidentally do stuff, and there's like an anonymous Reddit forum for that.
Oh wow. Do you like Mr. Bean? You ever watch Mr. Bean? Rowan
Yeah.
Atkins? Did you see the one where he's in the library and he's got the cotton gloves and all that stuff?
Yeah.
He totally destroys whatever it is he's working with. I imagine it's like that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's nice because I'm the only librarian on site, so it's also nice because I get to decide what I do for my library. I get to decide the programming, I get to decide the classes, and if I do something, like no one's there to see it, so
like put an ancient cuneiform tablet in your purse or your pocket or something. You could do that if you want to.
They'll never know.
I always imagine those things say something like profound. If only I could read it, it'd be so profound. But then I think I never stopped thinking about the one complaint about the guy that complained about the quality of copper. It was like a Yelp review, basically. And it's on this ancient cuneiform tablet.
Well, the cuneiform tablet, because back then they weren't writing fiction other than the Epic of Gilgamesh. So you have mostly records. So it's like, we sacrificed a goat yesterday to the temple, and then we're putting this in the record book. So it's just a record.
Or propaganda, right? That one dude, the Persian emperor, I think it was, or Sumerian or somebody, wrote a whole thing on the side of a mountain about how great he was. So you get the propaganda and we sacrificed a goat yesterday.
Yeah, I'm personally more into the medieval stuff because I had a very like Tolkien trajectory when I was really into Lord of the Rings in high school, and then when I went to undergrad, I was like, I'm gonna take every medieval course possible, and I'm gonna study Old English and do like manuscript studies and stuff, and then I was gonna become a medievalist, and then I was like, no, like there's no jobs, so
medievalist.
Unless
you go to the newspaper.
You're going to torture somebody.
Looking through the classifieds. Medievalists. Where does the medievalists make? I'm one to talk because my daughter's going to go to art school. And people will ask me, like, well, what's she going to do? Is she going to teach? I'm like, I don't know. I don't think she wants to be a teacher, but she wants to go to art school. So she'll do whatever she does, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah. No, because I had, so before undergrad, I applied to art school as well because I wanted to do computer animation, and my dream was to work for Disney one day. And everyone was like, well, you're going to art school, like what are you gonna do? The jobs are so slim, so on and so forth. And then in university, everybody with like astrophysics degrees and PhDs upon PhDs from Harvard and Oxford were jobless. Yeah. And I was like horrified. I'm like, you can be the most brilliant scientist, you could be an artist, you could be anything, and there's no guarantee you'll have a job. And then news pour in like Disney's using AI, Disney laid off all the people, like there's no jobs in academia, there's no jobs in this. And it's like, you could have taken any one of these paths and been super smart or creative, and there's no guarantee of a job in any one of the fields, no matter what it is.
100% agree with that. And that's why it's like, study something you're interested in, something you're curious about, something that you can get into, because who knows in 4 years, 5 years, what's going to be needed from the capitalist machine.
Mm-hmm. And even with YouTube, like how many people could have predicted YouTube or TikTok would be a thing that people could potentially monetize or career on or something, right? Like it's just not something you could have prepared for.
Study YouTube in college. I wonder if they have that now. But you can major in YouTube.
Well, there's a lot of media studies.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Right. So librarian at a university, and what do you like to do other than read and make videos? Is there something else you like to do?
Well, that's the thing, is like there's not much time to do other stuff. Like most of my time, so I go to work for 40 hours a week, 9 to 5. And then when I have free time, I love going to bookstores because I'm also a book hoarder. And like I'm constantly buying books or hunting them down on eBay or all the platforms. And like I find that book collecting is also a hobby on its own. That's a little different.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it's madness. Like you need to have it all, and you want to collect all the different things. So right now I'm building a weird fiction library, a nautical library, and I'm collecting Weird Tales and Arkham House books. So that's kind of like I decided that's my thing. And then anything weird, basically, too. Like it doesn't matter which subgenre it falls under. So now I'm just on the hunt for those things. And I also volunteer at other libraries. So I'm volunteering right now at a science fiction library. And I'm their social media person, and it's Friends of the Merrill Collection. I mentioned her in the video, but basically Judith Merrill, she wrote a lot of sci-fi books. She was married to Frederick Pohl, and she came from the US to Canada. And then she had this large collection of science fiction books, fantasy books, and authentic like artwork that was signed by Weird Tales artists and stuff. And she just donated all of it to that library, and then they renamed it after her. And now I go there pretty often because I get to steal a lot of content for my own videos because it works.
Right.
So I've been going there a lot. And then, like to sit down and film a YouTube video, you guys know what that looks like now. Like it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like you gotta have something you want to say, think about the thing you just read, actually read the thing too. I forgot to do that. And then hair and makeup, obviously. And
No, clearly.
obviously.
This takes work.
So between book collecting, book reading, and being a librarian and volunteering in bookish things, like it adds up.
Yeah.
And since the last year, like I've gotten a lot closer with Jake and Nick and Chris and Tim and Brian and Virgil, and we always talk about books like almost on a daily basis. But when we go book shopping, we like take a photo and we're like, this? And then everyone's an enabler in that group. So like no one has ever been like, read what you own. Like
Yeah.
everyone's like, buy.
Keep buying, buy more. How did you come across the Pulp Island? Did you find it? Did it find you?
It was a mix. So I sort of became friends with Brian first because we bonded over a dinosaur book. And at the same time that happened, Chris and Virgil invited me on Literally Liminal, which was their kind of like what you guys do. And then that happened. And then August came and it was Pulp Fest. And I saw that video with all of them at Pulp Fest. And I don't know, like somehow like we just like found each other as a group.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. And then Tim reads a lot of Robert T. Howard. So that came into the mix too. Yeah. And then we wrote Weird Frequencies and did more live streams.
Yeah, it really is.
Sorry, I just remembered Nick too. At the same time that I did Virgil's thing and with Brian, Nick made an episode being like, Andrea's one of us now. And I was like, oh.
I am.
Okay.
I guess I am.
Well, if Nick said so, like.
He is the gatekeeper. Your
He is the gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper. The key holder.
Yeah. And then Jake introduced me to your channel.
Thank you, Jake.
I'm sorry.
That's it is an interesting little thing. Paul knew about BookTube. He said BookTube to me in one of his messages. I was like, is that a thing? People just like take the genre of YouTube and put that word there, and he said, yeah, BookTube's a thing. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And
I just have this habit of thinking everybody knows the words I know. I don't know. It's just sometimes conversations are kind of difficult.
I have a very hard time adjusting to like real world versus this. Like I mentioned in the main video about Lovecraft and people just knowing who he is in here as if it's like a mainstream, like don't even. And then in the real world, like no one knows. But also like at work, like I will prepare for some classes, for example, and I'll be talking about like the details of paper making and the chemistry of making ink and all of these like niche things about manuscripts. And then the class that's incoming is an undergraduate first year class. And then when I say, are there any questions? They go, yeah, what's a library or something, where you're like, oh my God, like I completely lost touch about like the level of knowledge of what we're talking about. And it's the same thing with BookTube. Like on BookTube, certain things feel so mainstream. And then in the real world, they're like, who is Stephen King or something, you know, like.
Yeah. I didn't know who Robert E. Howard was. Of course, I knew who Conan was. But now that I've read a fair bit, I wouldn't say a fair bit, a few Robert E. Howards, I'm like, how does everybody not know who he is?
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost
Lovecraft,
like
though,
there was somebody trying to show you who he was decades ago, but you know, it took BookTube for you to figure it out.
Yeah.
As the resident newcomer to these genres on Pulp Island, I can say I knew who Lovecraft was. I had tried to read Lovecraft several times, and just it was so thick I had trouble getting through it. So he's pretty well known. And then there's this Lovecraft Country, a book that was written recently, and then they made a series, I think on HBO or Netflix or something.
I think it was HBO.
So that's probably gotten the name out there more, right? People are gonna know about Lovecraft more and more, I think.
Well, I don't know who told me this. It might have been Chris, but there was like a time period where everyone had like this hippie movement of like vote for Cthulhu on stickers on their cars and stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Did you say they have plushies now?
I'm sorry?
Paul was saying they have plushies.
Yeah.
Cthulhu plushies.
Well, I have
Cthulhu is that much in the public consciousness, whether you know it or not.
Wait, I'm gonna bring a few things. So this is H.P. Lovecraft.
Aww.
And it has this little Necronomicon.
Nice.
And when I showed it in my video, one of the comments said, he kind of looks like Joe Biden.
Listen, Jack, there's this monster. It's called Cthulhu.
Yeah, and then this is the King in Yellow.
Oh, nice.
And then, they have a whole series that's called C is for Cthulhu for little kids. And then they have plushies from a lot of Lovecraft. Like they have a Shoggoth I really want to get.
That other one kind of looks like Justin Trudeau. I'm just trying to be inclusive.
Okay, so I found this collection of Lovecraft. All right, and it's really tiny print. But where I found it, I was at an Ollie's, and I was on an end cap with all these other like children's board books, but they had them on the bottom shelf, like tucked under all these children's board books, And I'm like, oh, sweet! It's like a little kid preschool version of Lovecraft. But no, they're actually just regular stories. But like, how cool would that be? I mean, I'm sure they exist, but they've got plushies, so why not? Lil Cthulhu.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what blows my mind about Lovecraft and Howard now that I know a bit more about them is that like they published all these stories in Weird Tales, but the stories are kind of set in the same universe.
Yeah.
And the more you get to know them, the more you're like, oh yeah, like this is this town. And then you're like, okay, so this is like Lovecraft's universe. And then this is Howard's one. And then there's overlap in the two universes as well.
Yep.
And it starts to feel a lot like the Marvel universe where you thought that it was creative. But again, it's like someone did it long ago and it was way cooler.
Yeah, Robert Bloch did it too. He had some Lovecraft stories. I think it was genius on whoever came up with the idea. It was genius because if it was Lovecraft's idea to just let people, use his stuff with his blessing or whatever, he then creates a much bigger universe. So much so that like there were like times like in the 70s and even into the 80s where people thought that like Cthulhu was this actual like ancient god thing from way back in the day, but no, it was completely made up, in the 20th century. But he was everywhere at that point. I thought that was a brilliant. Whoever came up with that, it was just a brilliant idea, whether it was accidental or on purpose. It made it just so much bigger.
Yeah, it is almost like an early form of fan fiction.
Good point.
I always refer to the Middle Ages as Bible fan fiction because if you read like medieval plays and stuff, it will be just like a reimagining of a Bible scene, but with like humor added to it. So like they'll do a cycle play and they'll say like, this is the story of how Noah got his wife on the ark. And then the whole play is just them bickering at each other. They're like, woman, get on the boat. And it's like, I don't want to get on the boat. And it's just Bible fanfic. Like there's no other word for it.
I guess Midrash would be like Torah fanfic, right? Midrash
Again,
is
like now we have words for this, but maybe like people have been doing it all along. Like you love something so much, you want to keep adding to it.
And still a better love story than Twilight.
Actually, someone recently posted something saying that he has a theory that all of Twilight happened in the main character's head, like as a dream in Bella's head, and he can prove it. And there's like a whole YouTube video out there. Like it got released yesterday, and I was like, huh, like okay.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that's a good note to end on. Twilight.
Twilight.
So next week Paul and I are going to read the entire Twilight series and talk about that.
I don't think I can do that, man.
Well, how about 50 Shades of Grey? We could read that one.
I tried both of those.
Speaking of fanfic.
Oh God, I realize they're not for me, but there are books that are not for me that are actually written well. Those are not for me, and they're not written well enough for me to experience, find out for sure if they're not for me.
All right.
Yeah, I find it difficult to read YA right now just because it's at a different reading level than what like that it's aiming like for teenage audience, and I just feel like I'm past it. Like I don't care about the sulky teenage boy in the corner. Like who cares about that guy?
Wasn't that an REM song? Sulky teenage boy in the corner. Yeah.
That's me in the
That's me in the
teenage boy in the corner. All right, Steve, I'll let you back this bus up and get us out of here.
Beep, beep. That having been said, that's Cthulhu right there over Andrea's shoulder. I'm Steve.
And I'm Paul.
And I'm Andrea. Check your shelf.
Yeah, I guess once he's declared you're one of them, you're one of them.
You get your gate kept by Nick. Your gate stays kept.
Yes, you're in.